Thanks, brother. How's everybody doing? It's a great service so far, huh? So we're going to spend some time this summer in the Psalms. Summer in the Psalms. Let me get this out of your way. And I think it's going to be good. So you'll be hearing different messages on different Psalms. So today we're going to do a little bit of an introduction into the Psalms. And then we're going to look at Psalm 42 a little bit later. Does that sound good? I have a short, it's Bible, one of the websites. I have like a 1-minute short video of a 5-minute introduction to Psalms that I wanted you guys to see. So let's watch that.
There are 150 poems broken up into 5 clear sections. At the beginning, there's been placed a short introduction, Psalms 1 and 2, which lay out the main themes of the whole book by reviewing the biblical storyline.
So Psalms 1 and 2 introduce all these main themes.
Yes, and then the book develops those themes through the 5 sections. The first 2 explore the complicated story of David and his royal family. The third section focuses on the tragedy of Israel's exile and the downfall of David's royal line. But then the 4th and 5th sections rekindle the hope for the Messiah, a new temple, and God's kingdom on the other side of the exile. Then the book ends with a 5-part conclusion, praising God for his faithfulness. And so the end result is the book of Psalms, designed as a virtual temple for all generations of God's people.
This isn't a kind of book you just read once and put down.
No, it's designed for a lifetime of slow rereading and reflection. These prayers and laments and songs of praise are meant to become our own. They're poems for exiles who are learning to live by God's wisdom and to seek God's justice in the world as they hope for the coming Messiah and the kingdom of God.
Is that good? So I go to Bible Project. It's about a 5-minute full video. It's excellent. It just gives you kind of an overview of what's happening in the Psalms, and I think you'll enjoy that. So we're going to look at the Psalms today, and it's 5 books written over 1,000 years. So the Psalms are organized as different books, and each of the 5 books ends with, you can tell, you come to Psalm 41 is the end of the first book, and you can tell it starts a new book, and they're organized that way. And also, about half of them are written by one person, by David. You probably knew that. So if someone ever asks you who wrote the Psalms, you can say about half of them were written by David. 73 are directly credited to David. New Testament writers credited 2 more to David, so that's 75, which would be half of 150 if my math is correct. But maybe it's 76 or 77 because some other scholars think maybe David actually wrote a few more than that. And it's a compilation of the songs of exiles. This becomes the songbook of the Jewish community for thousands of years in exile. These are the songs that they sing. And if you notice, we sing them as well, don't we? We sang, was it Psalm 34 today? A new song out of Psalm 34 is beautiful. And I mean, from when I first came to the Lord, I think half of the songs we sang were straight out of the Psalms. I will enter his gates with thanksgiving in my heart. On and on we can go. There's all these songs. So it's just, and I'll bet if we dissect a lot of the songs we sing today, a lot of them have elements of the Psalms in them. So it's a compilation of the songs of exiles, and a suggestion this summer to read through the Psalms in about a month, and there's an easy way to do that, is take the day of the week, tomorrow's the 10th, and read the 10th Psalm, and then add 30 to it each time. So on the 10th, you read the 10th Psalm, 40th Psalm, the 70th Psalm, the 100th Psalm, and the 130th Psalm. And that's 5 Psalms. And if you do that every day, you'll read through the Psalms in a month. The one exception is on the 29th, don't read Psalm 119 because it's like 10 Psalms long in and of itself. So read that on the 31st. So if you did that with us starting tomorrow, by the 9th of August, we will all have read through the Psalms together. And it's a good thing to do. When I was doing this preparation, this is one of the first things I did. I just read the Psalms from right through, from beginning to end, and then went back and read it looking for certain themes because you want to have an understanding of what's in the book that you're studying. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a little game. How about a little game? Does that sound like fun? I know you guys are shocked. And all you have to do, I have changed because I didn't get a lot of volunteers the first time, Ian. So I've changed. The only I need one person from each section, and we're not moving until we get one. I just need somebody who loves chocolate chip cookies, who's willing to play a game. From this, I saw a hand right there. Come on, a hand over here. Anyone over here want to play? There's one right there, and how about on this side? Someone who loves chocolate chip cookies. Come on, anybody? There's one. Wait, who? Come on. We got 3 volunteers. Let's hear it for our volunteers. We really had trouble getting volunteers the first Sunday, but I figured, you know what? Everyone loves chocolate chip cookies, so the reward is going to be chocolate chip cookies. Now, I want you guys to position yourselves kind of near your section. So, over here, and your name is? Roxanne, you stand here. And your name is?
Jordan.
Stand here, Jordan. And your name is? David. So we're going to start Roxanne, Jordan, and David. So you can ask your section for help. And what you need to do is help me find the top 15 Psalms. Just, you got to name one of them, okay? You got to think of a Psalm, a number. So what it is Google looked at Google data. This is actually what we did. We looked at Google data. Me. Not we. It's me who did it. We looked at Google data, and back from January 1st, 2021, so about a little over 2 years, and look up the search terms, and it was the name of the Psalm, so Psalm 143 or Psalm whatever, and what were the most commonly searched Psalms? That's what we're looking for. And you can't dig. Look at Jordan pulling out his phone on me. Okay, so you need to think of one. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to start somewhere. You're going to get one mistake, and we'll let you, so you have one miss, and we'll keep going. So, Roxanne, you can go first or last. Which do you want to do? First. Roxanne's choosing first. Roxanne, what Psalm are you picking?
Psalm 51.
Psalm 51. Oh, I got to look and see what the answers are, don't I? Psalm 51. Psalm 51. Yes! Psalm 51 is on the top 15. Okay. Jordan, what you got?
Psalm 119.
Psalm 119. Let's just check my secret cheat sheet. Yes! Let's hear it for Jordan. Is it John again? David.
Psalm 91.
Psalm 91. Yes! Psalm 91. This is going better than the first service. Roxanne.
Thanks, my lovely section. Psalm 23.
Psalm 23. Yes! Psalm 23. It's getting tougher, isn't it, Jordan? You got any?
Do I get some help?
You can get some help. You got any help?
Okay. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Which one?
Psalm 1.
Psalm 1? Yes! Psalm 1. David?
Psalm 150.
Psalm 150? No. But stay. You're still playing. Okay, so now I want to offer a little help. There is a little bit of bias in the results. Not bias from the algorithm, but bias in how we read books. There's bias in how we read books or consume media. That's your hint, Roxanne.
Psalm 139.
Psalm 139. Yes! Psalm 139.
Psalm 150.
Psalm 150 is a good guess, but no. I'm sorry, Jordan State, that's your one miss. David?
Psalm 2.
Psalm 2! Yes! Psalm 2 is in. Someone was listening.
Oh, Psalm 46.
Psalm 46? No, I'm sorry. That's your first miss, though, right?
Yeah.
All right, you're still in. Jordan.
Psalm 27.
Psalm 27, has it been Psalm 27? Yes, Psalm 27. David?
Psalm 22.
Psalm 22, good guess, but no, I'm sorry, David. Let's hear for David. David. It's your consolation prize. You get a cookie. All right, Roxanne, what you got? Have you missed yet, Jordan?
Once.
You once? Okay, one miss, this is it. What do you got?
Okay, can I say a scripture and then...
No, because I won't know what it is. That would be testing me, and this is not a test for me. This is a test for you.
Psalm 63? Was that already said?
Psalm 63. Sorry, Roxanne, but we're going to make Jordan answer one correctly, otherwise he loses.
I'm going to go with this one. Psalm 19.
Psalm 19. No! So, Roxanne, you are the winner. Oh, Jordan, don't go anywhere. You get to pick 3 chocolate chip cookies or this really cool Spurgeon in the Psalms devotional. Which would you like? The devotional. You got what you want.
You know why I came up with
Let's hear for our contestants. Very, very nice. I guess I went backwards. So, the top 15 Psalms real quickly. The 11 through 15, 51, Psalm 8, Psalm 119, Psalm 37, and Psalm 35. And here's the bias, right? We tend to read books from the front, so songwriters putting together a compilation, put your best songs where? First. Right? Your best chapter, your best work in your book is your introduction, not even your chapter 1. The first thing people are going to read. Psalms 4, 3, 5, 2, and 139. Psalm 121 is number 5. Psalm 27 is number 4. Number 3, Psalm 1. Psalm 23, and number 1, Psalm 91. Now here's something very interesting, very fascinating. This is actually the Google, chart. So something happened March 15th to 21st, 2020. I have no idea, because I've totally blocked that year out of my mind. So something happened. This is the search for Psalm 91. Look what happened to it. From every deadly pestilence, right? So interestingly, before March of 2020, Psalm 23 was the most commonly searched psalm. Since then, and it has continued, Psalm 91 has been the most commonly searched psalm. So it's very interesting things you can learn when you're digging around. So 5 types of psalms: thanksgiving, praise, royalty, wisdom. Now these are just general categories that people have made. So you might find one psalm is in 2 categories. And then the 5th one is called songs of lament, but we're going to call it Psalms in the night. So Lord, thank you for a time to look at Psalm 42 and these psalms which are throughout the psalms about the songs of the night, the songs of the anguish of our souls and how we respond to you. So Psalms in the night, what can we learn from Psalms in the night? I would offer it's the most common theme in Psalms. It's kind of everywhere. Half of the first 90 are Psalms in the night, and I've listed some that have some element of this. There's a bunch. And we could pick any one of those and go read it, and we'd find what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of psalms in the night, especially if you're looking from like 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 51, 54, 55, 56, 57, 59, and then 140 to 144, and then the last 6 are psalms of praise, right? So there's a flow to it too. So look at this quote. In the Psalms, we find honest, sometimes brutal expressions of the human heart. The Bible would not be valuable if it were a string of sentimental platitudes or religious propaganda. But it is not. The Psalms, express the highest joy and the deepest sorrow. Their authors plead with God, shout at God, beg God for forgiveness. They exalt virtues and righteousness, and they condemn in the bitterest terms the ugly abuses people sometimes carry out. And sometimes all of that is in one psalm, which is the fascinating thing about reading the Psalms. It's just all these waves of emotions and interactions. And this is what Spurgeon said. The fact is, we are the strangest mixture of contradictions that was ever known. We never shall be able to understand ourselves. God knows us altogether, but we shall never, at least in this life, completely comprehend ourselves. And some of you are thinking of Psalm 139, which says, such knowledge is too wonderful for me. And the knowledge that the psalmist David is talking about is knowledge of himself. Go and read it. He's like, I can't even understand myself. In that same psalm, he says that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So in the same psalm, he's saying, God, you know me. You fashioned me, and I'll never fully understand. And there's actually a comfort in that, isn't there? So let's look at Psalm 42 in a few minutes that we have left. For the music director, a maskil of the sons of Korah. You may remember Korah's rebellion in the time of Moses. Korah and a group were rebelling against Moses, and Moses basically stood there and said, well, if you're not right, God's going to do something. And Korah and the rebels were literally swallowed up, basically in an earthquake. Some of his sons survived. Some of his lineage survived. And in the time of David, they were worshipers. And they wrote about a dozen of the 150 Psalms. Spurgeon doesn't think so. Spurgeon thinks Psalm 42 was written by David, although David was not mentioned as the author. The psalm must be the offspring of his pen. It is so Davidic, it smells of the son of Jesse. It bears the marks of his style and experience in every letter. And I would offer to you, either way, it's discipleship. It's how it works. David was leading and showing the way, and others were writing psalms and certainly learning from him. So perhaps their style was like David's, reflecting the same types of thoughts and expressions. Isn't that how we live? We rub off on each other. So here it is, Psalm 42, verse 1. Oh, did you hear the song? When you're reading the Psalms this month, listen for the songs that we've been singing and listen for new songs that came out of Psalm 34. Listen, as the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul pants for you, God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. And I would offer you, this is the heart of the Psalms, this longing, this desire to be in God's presence, to be with God. When shall I come and appear before God? The translation I'm using in New American Standard has a little footnote, which sometimes is the more literal translation, which I think is actually helpful. So let's look at that. When shall I come and see the face of God? This is the psalmist's heart, is to see, yes, to be in Jerusalem, yes, to be in the temple, but to see the face of God. Now, what's the problem with wanting to see the face of God? It's really difficult. Note well that the main hope of chief desire of David rests in the smile of God. His face is what he seeks and hopes to see. So here we have the psalm centered on this, but Moses said, show me your glory, and God said, look, you can kind of brush alongside of me. You cannot see my face, for mankind shall not see me and live. But then there's this desire. My soul pants. When will I come and see the face of God? And now the next verse, we're going to see the psalmist, the night of his soul. My tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all day long, where is your God? I remember these things and pour out my soul within me. For I used to go over with the multitude and walk with them in the house of God, with a voice of joy and thanksgiving, a multitude celebrating a festival. His tears have been his food day and night, and he's remembering and longing for this time when he was in the house of God. And out of that, he now comes to what is the refrain of this psalm. Why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you restless within me? Wait for God, for I will yet again praise him for the help of his presence, my God. Why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you downcast, dissolved away, bowed down, hopelessness? Why are you restless, murmur, growl, disquieted, troubled, in commotion, anger, bitterness? The psalmist isn't saying that he doesn't experience these things, but now he's speaking to his soul. He's speaking to his soul, and he's saying to his soul, wait for God. This word wait in Hebrew is very closely associated with the meaning of the word hope, or hope in God. In tough times, when it seems as if God is not speaking or acting, we can wait on him and thus actively place our hope in him. For the help of his presence. The more literal translation is for the salvation of his face. Salvation, help, presence, face. So the psalmist is seeing that he needs to be in God's presence, because see God's face, that's where he will find his ultimate hope. From that high point, the psalmist says in verse 6, my soul is in despair within me. Same word, despair. Therefore, I will remember you from the land of Jordan and from the peaks of Hermon, from Mount Mizar. Now, he's saying, my soul is in despair, but I'm not in Jerusalem, but I'm going to remember you right where I am. I'm still going to remember you. And out of that high, deep calls to deep at the sound of your waterfalls. All your breakers and your waves have passed over me. The psalmist is saying, I'm drowning here. The waves, the waterfalls, and it's God's. It's like, you're doing this to me. I feel like you're doing this to me. I'm overwhelmed at this moment. I need some help. The Lord will send his goodness in the daytime, and his song will be with me in the night. This is a prayer to the God of my life. And isn't that the psalm in the night? That his song will be with me in the night. From that moment of high, I will say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why do I go about mourning because of the oppression of my enemy? As the shattering of my bones, my adversaries taunt me, while they say to me all day long, where is your God? And he returns to the refrain, Why are you in despair, O my soul? Why are you restless within me? Wait for God, for I will again praise him for the help of his presence, for the salvation of his face. He returns to that refrain. And although you may think the psalm ends, the psalm continues in Psalm 43 because the ancient Hebrew texts link these two together because the construction is identical. Psalm 42 and 43 are identical in their construction. Vindicate me, God. Plead my case against the ungodly nation. Save me from the deceitful and unjust person. For you are the God of my strength. Why have you rejected me? Why do I go about mourning because of the oppression of my enemy? And he's coming back up out of it. Send your light and truth. They shall lead me. They shall bring me to your holy hill and to your dwelling places. Then I will go to the altar of God, to God my exceeding joy, and I will praise you on the lyre, God, my God. And he returns to the refrain, and we end Psalm 43. Why are you in despair, my soul? And why are you restless within me? Wait for God, for I will again praise him for the help of his presence, my God, for the salvation of his face. Now, I want you to just look at the arrows. So, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 10 changes of emotion in Psalm 42, 2 more in Psalm 43. If you kind of blur your eyes and just look at the arrows, it may look like Williamsburg Busch Gardens. The roller coaster of life. Or maybe it looks like your last Tuesday or my last Thursday when we got home from a trip, and then Stacy tried to get the car in the morning. There's a flat tire, and then we find out that the little fancy lock that they put on it so people can't steal your tires. The last time we got our tires fixed, they gave us the wrong key back, so now we can't get the tire off, and now I call the car dealer, and they say 2 weeks. Everything's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'm going to be without a car for 2 weeks because you guys gave me the wrong lock. And this is it. Isn't this life? It resolved. The car is running. But this is how we live, isn't it? And that's what I love about the Psalms, is the reality in it. The reality in it, the ups and downs. Read Psalm 42 tonight, and you'll just see this. It's unbelievable. This is one psalm. It's one psalm. So the Bible doesn't ask us to hide our real emotions, embrace how you are feeling, be honest with God, but also speak to your own soul and praise the Lord. That's why when we come together, that's why it says don't forsake the assembling together, because when we come together, if I'm not feeling it, others are lifting me up. And then all of a sudden, I start to sing. And I start to speak to my own soul. And I'm going to sing. I'm going to take a stand. Look what Spurgeon said. Affliction may put out our candle, but if it cannot silence our song, we will soon light the candle again. So I'm going to tell you about a brick wall that I hit personally a few years back. It was 2014, and my dear friend Brian went through this with me. So he's here. He remembers it well. The business started to collapse. We can mark a day. The business started to decline dramatically. And we can actually mark a day when it started to happen, and now we're about a year into it. And the interesting thing about a small business, different from maybe a large business, is a small business is doing one of two things, is making money or going out of business. That's kind of how small businesses are. You're making money or you're going out of business. So small businesses generally don't last a year losing money, a few months sometimes. So this extends. And so in 2014, I'm sitting with Jerry in my car. He knows nothing about my business partners. I have 2 business partners at the time. He knows nothing about the situation. I'm starting to feel the pressure of this. And Jerry, we got sound. Jerry has a word.
You were just sharing something with me, Jerry.
Yeah, I was saying that I had a vision, and I saw you and 2 other men, and I believe they're your partners. And you all had your backs to the wall. You were backed up against this brick wall, and the wind was blowing in your face. And suddenly either the wall melted or you melted or both, and you all went through the wall, and now you were in a completely different place.
Now that's 2014, 2015, 2016. 2017. The situation hasn't changed, but I'm remembering this. I'm like, you know what? Jerry, the Lord gave him a picture, and I just felt like further and further pushed back into the wall. And one of the complexity was, how could I get out of this business relationship and have all of us survive out of it? Because these guys were faithful. We were together for 17 years. And how could we? It was very complicated. And felt a lot of pressure. And anyways, so 2018 happens. And I'm reading Psalm 42. And I write in my notes, this is my life, circa summer 2018. Up, down, up, down. And when I was trying to think about what to share on, I looked back because I remembered I'd written this. 5 years ago to the day, I wrote this song. 5 years ago to the day. So I pick up my guitar because that's what I do. You may do that. You may do something else. Maybe you journal. Whatever you do, do it when you're responding. And I write a song out of Psalm 42. Why despair my soul, fed by tears alone? As a deer pants for the water, I pour out my soul to you. And his song will be with me in the night. This is my prayer to the God of my life. When they say, where is your God? I say, why so downcast? O my soul, put your hope in God. And the song ends, this is my song in the night. This is my song in the night. This is my song in the night. Your song in me. That's the song in the night. Well, I wish I could tell you that on the 9th of July that everything resolved. Well, it didn't. It was just got more difficult. Brian and I were working together. He came one time, came to work one day. He says, I just feel like the 3 P's. Peace, protection, provision. Did I get them right? And we prayed every day for peace, protection, and provision through the storm. The storm continued. Stacy and I are one day just trying to get through it. And just sitting in our house, and Stacy's like, I just feel like we have to dance. And I'm like, and if you know Stacy, she is a spirit-filled, optimistic person. She always sees the glass 100%. Well, 90% full. She's always looking, and she just said, we have to dance. She turned on some music, and she starts dancing. And I'm like, and she just keeps dancing. Finally, I'm like, and we danced, and we shook it off. Yeah, it comes back. The difficulties come back. I can remember, I think it was that Thanksgiving, one of the kids asked me, how are things going? And I'm at the Thanksgiving table, and I'm like, not good. And out it comes. And it's okay. I actually ended up in the hospital from the stress of this when we finally had to basically close a lot of the business. And yet, God took us through the wall. But there was a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of difficulty along the way. And that's why I love the Psalms, because it's real. It's real. It's how I feel a lot. And yet, I'm going to speak to my soul. So Psalms in the night, just to wrap it up. A couple thoughts to leave with you. Can you hear God's song in the night? Maybe you're facing a dark season. Listen. Read his word. His word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. He will give you light for this specific next step. And he will show you the way to walk. He will give you a song in the night. Gus, who was in the first service, he said, Steve, that was my story exactly. Over the last few months, he made a big business decision, and he said he'd wake up in the middle of the night with this torment, and God would give him a song, literally in the night. As you read through the Psalms, grab onto some of them and say, God, let this be my song, my psalm in the night. Hold on to those words. We had one from Psalm 34 today. Maybe that's yours. Take hold of that. Take hold and listen for the psalm in the night. And the other is, can you see his face? Can you see his face? It's an interesting challenge because God said, no one can see my face. And the New Testament writers repeat this. Nobody can see God face to face. And then Jesus is with his disciples, and he's saying, I'm preparing a place for you. And they're like, just show us the way. John 14, just show us the way. And Jesus says, oh, since you said that, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. And then he says, if you had known me, you would have known the Father. Now you know him and you see him. They had no idea. They still didn't get it. And don't blame them. We wouldn't have gotten it either. They didn't get it. So Philip says, knowing this, knowing the psalmist's cry to be in God's presence, to see God's face, knowing all this, he just says, just show us the Father. And that'll be enough for us. Just show us the Father. And Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. That's the good news. That is the summation of the good news, is you can't see God in your own strength. You can't. There is this chasm between you and him. Your sin separates you from him. But your desire, your heart's desire, is to be able to be face to face with God and to see his smile on your life. And God makes a way. He sends his Son to pay the penalty for you. And to die, and then to conquer death, and to be raised, so that you can see the smile of God. So if you've never seen his face, if you don't know, today is the day. Today is the day.